Om Namah Shivaya. I'm Swami Sitaramananda. I'm very happy that you are here. And I'd like to talk today about Yogic and Vedic Counseling. So now I let Kailash ask a few questions.
Swamiji, in our life as yoga teachers, oftentimes students ask us for advice. What are the guidelines to advise them?
Oftentimes when people become imbalanced and they suffer or they feel stuck, they will ask you for advice. And the very good helpful guideline in yoga is the yamas and niyamas. That means the guideline of the things to abstain from and the things to observe in normal daily life. So when people would follow the guidelines, then their imbalances or their so-called negative samskaras or bad habits somehow will be alleviated, and it will help them. So these are the basic ethic guidelines in yoga. As you know, they are ahimsa, non-violence, abstain from anger, and the truthfulness, abstain from telling lies or manipulation of others. And the third one would be brahmacharya, abstain from sexual misconduct and control of the sensual sexual desires. And number 4 would be asteya, would be abstain from covetousness or lying, stealing, or also desiring that which is not coming to you by your own karma. So in yoga, the concept of karma is very important. And then the last one will be the aparigraha, which is the abstention from greed, abstention from accumulation, abstention from, again, desire or wanting too much in the material world. So, leading a simple life, basically. And then the other guideline would be the niyamas, which is the observances, which are the things to do, the good practices that we need to do daily. One will be the practice of purity, which is to come from our pure heart in all our dealings, and to do self-inquiry in order to remove all the impure motivation, and also keep the purity in our body by right kind of diet, right kind of cleansing, and in our environment by cleaning the environment, keeping a sattvic environment in which we live and work, and also purity in all aspects. Yoga is about purification, so this we need to practice. So the next one is the practice of contentment. The practice of contentment means you would have to guide people into understanding that they have a lot, because people's unhappiness come from the idea that they are missing something, that life doesn't give them what they want, what they need, and they look outside for happiness. So you need to guide people toward understanding that they actually are blessed, and they should count their blessing, the practice of gratitude every day. So then it will help the mind to calm down. And then you guide people also toward doing some tapas. Some tapas means austerity, so that, again, to control the desired mind that go outward and feel unhappy, is to practice the volunteer kind of austerity of a simple life. Austerity like fasting, which would help the tendency to overeat, enjoyment, living a simple life instead of too much desire for comfort, the fasting of speech, which is mauna, is very helpful in controlling this desire all the time to have emotional interaction, because one need to go toward finding the peace within and be content. Therefore, too much going out, in speech and action will be losing prana and not helpful. And then the other guidelines is the study of called self-study or study of scripture. What that means is guide people toward finding higher, more correct kind of thinking by associating with wise mind people, or reading scripture, or self-study means study the mind, so that you can see that the mind is not the self. So these are very helpful. Anybody would do that, so they would have some kind of, guidance. Let's say they have the habit to read Bhagavad Gita every day, a few verses, so that it's like they have a wise man next to them all the time, guiding the mind not to go in the wrong direction and completely forgetting the purpose, the true purpose of self-realization, but then forget himself into all the desire and the mind, restlessness, the looking for answer externally. And the last one, very important, is the guidelines of self-surrender. Self-surrender means you have to know that there is some truth, somebody, you can say, or God, that is all-knowing, and you would have to surrender yourself to it, all your expectation, your mind, your personality, so that you can get to it, get to God realization, union with God, or you can say union with your true heart of love, or you can say it's finding the truth that is behind your desire, expectation, and personality. So this goes self-surrender. Self-surrender means constantly practice in our daily life humility, and of the humility of not knowing, the humility of not climbing on our high horse of our ego and think that we know it all, and blaming everybody and blaming everything for when we don't get what we desire, even though we've been working very hard, but we're working very hard maybe in the wrong direction. So self-surrender means the humble, flexible attitude to be able to put self-effort out there, but at the same time to surrender and accept, so that we can constantly be, you can say in a New Age term, we say be a partner with God, or to work with our own soul and not just only working with our mind and our tendencies. So I'm just saying a few words here about the yamas, niyamas, but every topic you can really learn a lot and try to apply in daily life. So I wish you well. Try to think about this, but really master this 10-point of guidelines, and then you would help the students to go in the right direction and also help to guide yourself in daily life as well.
Swamiji, what can we do to be better counselors?
Yeah, so if you want to be a better counselor, you have to master the basics. Master the basics. What that means? It means you have to really take it to heart and understand how this helps the yoga practice. So you have to really practice and master the 5-point lifestyle, the yogic lifestyle, because just you live the yogic lifestyle, all the imbalances will be balanced out, and then no serious problem, will happen, because naturally it would take care of the energy, and you will become, or students will become healthy, or not too aggravated, and they will find peace. So this, as you know, is a proper exercise, practice of asanas daily. So my experience is, the asanas need to be practiced daily, because it's take care of the energy, all the stuckness, all the tension, all the blockages in energy. So the main benefit of the asana practice is not the beauty, the losing weight, or the, or even the muscle strength. It is the subtle energy flow when you practice the asanas. And then the proper breathing, which is practice of pranayama. So I believe that you will be talking more about this weekend, but pranayama is very, very important, especially the alternate nostril breath, to balance out all the imbalances in the personality. So this I would advise all students to practice. If they have a good lifestyle, they can practice 2-3 times a day, 10-15 minutes every time. It really make a big difference. So that is called mastering the basic. You have to practice it, and you really feel the benefit, then you can give it to the students when you advise them. And then the third point is proper diet, as you know, is capital importance. Swamiji put all these 5 points together. He must have taught all his life to really summarize in the 5 points. So the proper diet, as you know, if you eat the wrong kind of food, disease will come, but also, you lose a lot of prana to digest the wrong kind of food, and you bring all the chemicals in your system. You make your energy up and down. Too much sugar will create emotional problem. Too much meat and chemicals, will create this tamasic kind of, energy. And then from there come depression, and then blockages, and all the problems, psychological and physical. So the fourth point, as you know, is what? I just jumped, I go to diet, but really the number 3 is a proper relaxation, which is, it's not an easy thing. Proper relaxation is relaxation of the body, relaxation of the mind, relaxation of the spirit. And if you want to achieve relaxation, you have to achieve balance. That means if you don't have the balance, then you see tension will be there. So you have to achieve balance, and you have to learn to to focus. Mental relaxation means you have to learn to focus. You cannot relax if your mind is loose. It doesn't have focus, then it will go here, go there, and then when it will go here, go there, and pick up all the different kind of thoughts and ideas and desires, it will be tense. It will work against itself. So therefore, proper concentration is important in daily life to guide people toward living a simple and concentrated life. Don't want too much. Don't run too far. Don't think that something else is somewhere else. So you keep running and traveling and aimlessly wandering and changing things. So live a life of concentration and contentment. So that would bring about a certain mental relaxation that comes from concentration. And spiritual relaxation comes from knowing who you are. Ultimately, when your faith increases, then you'll be more relaxed. Because you know that everything happened by God's will. Swami Sitaramananda says strongly, nothing will happen without the will of God. And something is supposed to happen will happen, and something not will happen will not happen. How much anxiety you'll be about this, it will not going to happen. So pay attention to your anxious mind that imagine different things, live in the past, so expecting the future, and all this, and missing out the present because you are not really aware. So therefore, you live out of your past kind of mind, past kind of personality that carry all the weight, and then you project that in the future, and then you be anxious, you see, and you want to control everything. So very important is to eventually to be able to relax in our faith, in our knowledge that all is well and the universe is very very good. There is nobody out there to go after us. So there's the fifth point, as you know, is positive thinking and meditation. It's you have to master the basic again. Yeah, that means the basic of the technique of meditation. You have to do the meditation daily without miss. Even the 15 minutes make a big change in life when people would sit down and quiet their mind. And then the positive thinking means all the mental work that you can do in order for you to clear your mind from all the dross and all the thoughts and all the emotions, because without the positive thinking work, it's very difficult for people to meditate. The mind has to be somewhat positive before it can actually meditate. So, because meditation is a lifelong thing, so unless you are positive, you're not going to look for something better for yourself. See? So positive thinking means working against our negative emotions, using proper techniques to counteract the tendencies of our emotions, for example, anger or fear or greed or lust. This you need to work at it. So you can see already just 5 points is already a mouthful. So that's why, for yoga teachers, Swamiji taught first the 5 points. If you can master that, you can really help people a lot. Yeah. And then the 4 paths of yoga. So we talked already about yama niyama, which is the Raja Yoga, and the 8 limbs, teach people the asana, the pranayama, the withdrawing of the senses, the concentration, the meditation, like this. It's very, very helpful. You have to walk the step first, then you can teach other people. And then you have the karma yoga. Yeah, that means you have to understand how selflessness redeem. When a person no longer live, self-centered and just thinking about your own problems, you see, and the person start to understand that you cannot solve your problem without being selfless, without getting out of oneself and get out of your own karmic kind of bind by serving other people, by switching the karma into the dharma. Then it's very difficult. So in general, guideline is to try, when person complain and so on, try to tell them not to be too self-centered. You cannot solve that problem that way. Of course you can do introspection, but self-centeredness is a self-pitying by basing oneself on one's personality, one's ego, one's desire. So that's not the right thing. So Swami Sivananda said, just go and serve somebody. You always is somebody worse than you. Try to bring a smile to somebody, help somebody without thinking of yourself. Then as a result, somehow you help yourself. Because the self is all, the self is one. So therefore, the egoistic tendencies we need to break by selflessness. So this is called advice in karma yoga. Bhakti yoga means devotion. Yeah. So practice of devotion. The practice of devotion means to open our heart selflessly, practicing pure love, and how we can practice pure love, because we have all these wrong patterns of love, of failure in love, of being hurt, of expectation. So the advice is how to bring devotion in our life, how to have a symbol of God, because our mind is is limited. Therefore, we cannot really love God. That is unbounded. Yeah, all names, all forms, and no name, no form. So therefore, we have to do the ABC of learning and seeing that everything is God by seeing other people as God, and also seeing the an image of God that you can tune into as a reminder, as something that your mind can perch on, and it will bring our mind back into a sane kind of rapport with reality. That means that peace, that love, and that sublimation of our desire. So that is called devotion. So Bhakti Yoga is a science in itself, but if we don't practice Bhakti Yoga, we become dry. We see people as objects. We want to take advantage of them. We always think about me, and we don't. It's not easier for us to surrender. So we do need to practice Bhakti Yoga, soften our heart, seeing God presence every day, and this will give us the instant kind of access to some level of joy in our life. And then, four paths of yoga, you have Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, the 8 limbs. Hatha Yoga is part of Raja Yoga, we said. And then we have Jnana Yoga, Vedanta, philosophy. Yeah, so that we sometimes, as a beginning teacher, we think that Jnana Yoga is something, far out there, because sometimes the teachings say like that. It's the end. You have to master the other kind of yoga path before you get to Jnana Yoga, but it's not true, because you can apply the simple guidelines of Vedanta in daily life. For example, you can apply the principles that all is one. You can apply the principles that I see my own self in you. You see, you can apply the principles that unity in diversity. You can apply the principle that all is ephemeral, all is changing, and but there is an unchanging background that you can trust, that you need to remember, which is the self, the Atman, the truth, God. So this also we need to apply to learn to do self-inquiry. Who am I? And stay away a little bit from our false identity. Okay, and then so that is called the basic guideline of the 5 points for path of yoga.
Swamiji, what is the difference between yogic and Vedic counseling?
Yeah, so maybe normal, yoga teacher would not understand this concept of being a Vedic counselor, but I just add on so you have some kind of perspective and horizon, how you can grow and how you can continue to study. Is that the Vedic sciences that come from the Vedas has also other kind of modality that would be very helpful to make your vision about yourself and others much more refined, so that you can pinpoint the problems, and it guides you toward understanding, toward better awareness of the problem, so that we can we can work out our solutions or the sadhana. The sadhana is a spiritual practices. So in the Vedic sciences, and we have the, as you know, we have the Ayurveda science. Ayurveda is the guidelines, the Vedic guidelines in health and lifestyle. So you have to understand at least the doshas. That means the pitta dominant, vata dominant, kapha dominant nature, and in the student, in ourselves, and how to understand them, how to accept them. Everyone is really behave differently, so try not to judge them by understanding that that's their nature, that's the way how they express themselves. So that's Ayurveda, the basic about nutrition, how to balance our diet so that we'll be healthy, the basic about the time of the days, the time of the age, so how all these things change our energy and how we can adapt our lifestyle. So these all come from the Ayurvedic guideline. But also there is a Jyotish guideline. Jyotish is Vedic astrology. It's not necessarily just a prediction, it's understanding the karma. In the birth chart, the basic thing, you understand the karma very easily by seeing, what is the ascendant and what's the planet that is dominant, what's the planet that is weak. So then from there you see very clearly the area of life that is problematic and the area of life that need to be improved, and what's our tendency. So all these are very helpful in guideline. Of course it takes a long time.
Swamiji, if we need to learn all these sciences to be good counselors and yoga teachers, how can we study all of these very involved sciences? It's said that even yoga we need to study for 12 years.
I would say you have to master the basics, you have to practice the basics, but you need to, I would say, open yourself to learn, Ayurveda, Jyotish, the basics. It's not too complicated, actually. You can learn the basics in Ayurveda, you can learn the basics in Jyotish. Okay? So in the teacher's training course, then we always add a few lessons on Ayurveda, a few lessons on Jyotish, a few lessons on Tantra, Yoga, like this, but you have to learn more. And it's up to you, see. But I would say master the basic first, and then according to your time and temperament, open up to one or two signs, and then starting with one, Ayurveda, and then, starting with Jyotish when you want to understand more. And then I don't think it's too complicated if you only study the basics and you refer, that it's there, so you refer the students to a specialist, to an Ayurvedic specialist or to a Jyotishi. Like sometimes people have such a intricate problem and there is no way, it's very difficult to understand. So you have to refer a person to a Jyotishi, a Vedic astrologer, and then look in one glance, they will see, oh, okay, that's a transit, that's the bad transit right now, and that's a period of life right now. So then they can guide you so that you can, know that you can be patient, for example.
Yes. Can you give some examples of basics where we can start our study?
The basics, I give some example what that means, for example, in mantra, okay, so you cannot really advise people on mantra, but you know how mantra is important, to help the mind. It's like it says that it's like the soap for the mind, to cleanse the mind, cleanse the samskaras, the deep impressions. So as a yoga teacher, just come out, you cannot really advise people mantra, yeah, but you can talk to them about the benefit of mantra, and then you can refer them to a spiritual teacher that can guide you on a mantra, explain the basic of how to use a mantra, but also how they connect with the divinity that is encased in the mantra, and they can give the mantra initiation to a person with the advice and the guidelines of lifestyle. See, but the yoga teacher need to be able to tell the students like that, that they need to somehow control their mind, purify their mind with the use of mantra, and then refer. Another example would be, I would say, Ayurveda. Yeah. So when a person is, you can look at a person, you can see that the person is suffering from overheat. You can see the inflammation, the skin bursting. You can see, the behavior always very impatient. Want to control too much. The difficult kind of judgmental attitude, and you can say this is overheat, fire overheat. And then you need to advise the person to chill out, to calm down, to relax. And then simple thing I should say to people, eat more green. Don't eat meat, eat more green. Cool thinking, cool temperature, cool thinking, cool color, wear cool color. Like cool means greens, blue, eat green vegetable. Don't take spices, hot spices. All these are very easy to advise. And then and you see a person, for example, they suffer from not being able to sleep, and they talk non-stop. They change topic from one moment to another, and you look at their life is constantly changing. And they're erratic, then you know they have some kind of vata imbalance. Then you have to advise them to learn how to structure their life. Go to an ashram where the schedule is very structured. It's very good for vata. Vata is the disease of our time. With all the computer, all the cell phone, all the fast speed and traffic and flying, all this is make the people vata vitiated. So then you would have to advise people to stick at one place, go to ashram, you have a schedule. You don't want to get up, but you have to get up. You don't want to sing, but then you sing. You don't want to eat, but then you eat. So there is a schedule, the daily routine. That is absolutely very helpful for a vata, over worried person. So these are the basics. That's what I said. Simple example how you can advise people, and don't be shy to advise people, because it's simple. You can see it's obvious, and you should advise people. A person that is obese, and they, kapha, obese, they become slow, lethargic. You can tell. Then of course there's the underlying factor of that as well. But the simple thing you can tell people is to do more exercise. Maybe for that person yoga is not, asanas is not enough. They have to be walking, they'll be running, swimming, find something that would activate this body, so it can activate that tendency toward depression and the tendency toward attachment, and a tendency toward over sentimentalism, which is you know, when the kapha is become aggravated. Okay, so this you can advise, and then you know, in Vedanta you also can advise. When you see a person, you know, completely too buying into their personality, their ego, then you have to tell them, you know, this thing also would change. Okay, don't be too attached to this. You know, you attach to a relationship, you suffer. Yeah, relationship come and go. Yeah, we travel together, but then we will part. We come alone, we go alone. This kind of advice is very helpful. You can see people start to see only the you know, the differences, and they criticize, and then they don't see the, you know, the unity. They don't they cannot you know, empathize. Then you should advise them, you know, to accept the differences, but to see through the differences and to see the commonality, to see the same self, same essence. So don't judge people. You know, get over the appearances. And so that is Vedanta, you see. So you can apply. I tell you a story how it helped me. Example is one student. She was taking TTC, and she was had panic attack. Yeah, that means she would be lying there anytime. You know, it can be during an asana class or during a lecture, or suddenly lying there and not be able to move, completely paralyzed, like that. And then all the other students had to come and give her massage and give her a lot of attention, friction her body, and so on. So then she come back to life a little bit. And then it keep going on like this for many days. And then then we start to be worried, because the students, you know, would lose their time to all the time caring about this other student, and they didn't know what to do. And in the group there are also doctors and psychiatrists are there, and they advise, you know, maybe go to doctor, hospital, and get some medicine and this and that. And then last resort, they come to me and they ask me what to do. So I don't know, you know. The doctor already say that, you know, that maybe go to the doctor, and you know, what to do. It's so complex. Why a young person would have this panic attack? And then so I just use my skill, which is you know, Vedic astrology. I know. So I look at her chart, and just very quickly I can tell that she's a young person, and she has some kind of her mind is very emotional, and then she might be very, very sensitive person, and she might not deal, you know, easily with her emotions. And then also there is a certain tendency in her chart toward extreme. See, so from there I can deduce that, okay, she's an emotional person, so she needs to transfer that energy over emotional tendency to a devotion. So that's a guideline. So okay, emotion, go to devotion. So then she has a tendency toward fear and extreme. So okay, so she needs to have devotion toward a deity, yeah, that is strong, that can conquer fear. So then I translate it as the goddess Durga. Yeah, she's very strong and she conquers fear. And then I just simply told that student that you know, you are a sensitive person, but you should not be afraid, because you can learn to control it. And then the Mother Durga will protect you. So if you feel afraid, you know, and some emotion come up you cannot control, you don't have to be afraid of it, and you can ask Mother Durga to help you. So then I give her a mala beads, I give her the mantra Durga, and I give her a picture of Durga. So then she sit up, and then from that day on, every day she has a picture of Durga. When she sit in lecture, she has a picture of Durga there, her mala beads, and then she practiced the concentration on Goddess Durga when she feel that the fear going to overwhelm her. And then she go through the TTC, and then go through another course, Ayurveda and Yoga course, and she has no problem. She's very, very calm and very strong, and going through and want to become staff, and so extraordinary. So you can see it's simple guideline, but it can help people. So that's an example. Okay, so I wish you well, and please know that your learning is not stop with teaching some asana classes. Your learning should start with yourself by practicing the 8 limbs, the 5 points, the 4 paths, become better and better there, and eventually learn the Vedic sciences that are just complementary to yoga and Vedanta. So I wish you well and have a wonderful time at the ashram. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya. I'm Swami Sitaramananda. I'm very happy that you are here, and I'd like to talk today about Yogic and Vedic Counseling. So now I let Kailash ask a few questions.
Swamiji, in our life as yoga teachers, oftentimes students ask us for advice. What are the guidelines to advise them?
Oftentimes when people become imbalanced and they suffer or they feel stuck, they will ask you for advice. And the very good helpful guideline in yoga is the yamas and niyamas. That means the guideline of the things to abstain from and the things to observe in normal daily life. So when people would follow the guidelines, then their imbalances or their so-called negative samskaras or bad habits somehow will be alleviated, and it will help them. So these are the basic ethic guidelines in yoga. As you know, they are ahimsa, non-violence, abstain from anger, and the truthfulness, abstain from telling lies or manipulation of others. And the third one would be brahmacharya, abstain from sexual misconduct and control of the sensual sexual desires. And number 4 would be asteya, would be abstain from covetousness or lying, or stealing, or also desiring that which is not coming to you by your own karma. So in yoga, the concept of karma is very important. And then the last one will be the aparigraha, which is the abstention from greed, abstention from accumulation, abstention from, again, desire or wanting too much in the material world. So leading a simple life, basically. And then the other guideline would be the niyamas, which is the observances, which are the things to do, the good practices that we need to do daily. One will be the practice of purity, which is to come from our pure heart in all our dealings, and to do self-inquiry in order to remove all the impure motivation, and also keep the purity in our body by right kind of diet, right kind of cleansing, and in our environment by cleaning the environment, keeping a sattvic environment in which we live and work, and also purity in all aspects. Yoga is about purification, so this we need to practice. So the next one is the practice of contentment. The practice of contentment means you would have to guide people into understanding that they have a lot, because people's unhappiness come from the idea that they are missing something, that life doesn't give them what they want, what they need, and they look outside for happiness. So you need to guide people toward understanding that they actually are blessed, and they should count their blessing as the practice of gratitude every day. So then it will help the mind to calm down.